Okay guys, this is lesson 1.3. The aim for this lesson is what are some different ways in which we can multiply polynomials. So we're going to talk about 3 different ways to multiply polynomials. One is horizontally. This is the way you probably know and have used. The second is vertically. This might be totally new to most of you. And the third way is tabular, or people call it table, or people call it area away. Some people also call it like box method. You've probably seen this before also. So let's start with one example. The first example we're going to start with, we're going to use the horizontal method for. So I want to multiply negative x squared plus 2x plus 4 with x minus 3. So horizontally means I'm going to multiply just like this, kind of like using distributive property. One thing I noticed is that the first expression here has more terms. So what might be easier is if I put the expression that has less terms first. That looks like this. This is helpful because we are going to use kind of like distributive property, and we have less to distribute if we do this. If we do it this way. Okay, so we're going to distribute each of the terms in the first set of parentheses. So I'm going to start by distributing the x to all the terms in the second set of parentheses. So x times negative x squared is negative x cubed. X times positive 2x is positive 2x squared. And x times 4 is positive 4x. Okay, now I'm going to distribute the negative 3 to all of the terms in the second set of parentheses. So negative 3 times negative x squared is positive 3x squared. Here's the common mistake, is people always mix up their negatives and positives. Be sure that when you distribute that 3, you're actually distributing the negative 3, not just positive 3, or else you will make mistakes. Okay, so now if we distribute the negative 3 to the 2x, we get negative 6x. And lastly, if we distribute the negative 3 to the positive 4, we get negative 12. Okay, now from here, I'm going to start combining some like terms. So I see that the negative x cubed, there is no more x cubes, so that's going to stay the same. Now I see I have positive 2x squared and I have positive 3x squared. Those are like terms, so if I add the coefficients, I get positive 5x squared. Then I see that I have positive 4x and negative 6x. If I combine those, I have negative 2x. And then I have this guy at the end here, negative 12, that cannot be combined with anything, so that guy just gets added on to the end. Okay, here we go. So we just multiplied these two polynomials horizontally, and this is the solution that we got. Negative x cubed plus 5x squared minus 2x minus 12. We should get that same expression for the next 2 examples, because we're going to be using the same original 2 polynomials, even though we're doing them in a different method. Okay, so let's go on to the second method. This is vertically. So vertically multiplying polynomials is like vertically multiplying numbers. So we're going to put the expression with more terms on top, and then put the expression with less terms right underneath. Notice I lined up like terms. Since these both just have x's, I lined those up. Since these both just are numbers, I lined those up. And there is no other x squared, so that's why there's nothing underneath the negative x squared. Okay, now I'm going to put a line underneath, and I'm going to multiply. I'm going to multiply one number at a time, and what I'm going to multiply are these 2 numbers, but one at a time, to all of these numbers. So I'm going to start with the negative 3. So negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. Negative 3 times 2x is negative 6x. And negative 3 times negative x squared is positive 3x squared, sorry. With me so far? If not, pause. You can rewind a little bit and just watch how that was done again. Now that I distributed the negative 3 to all of this, now I'm going to distribute the x to all of this. So x times 4 is 4x. Be careful. Now I'm not going to put the 4x over here. I'm going to put the 4x right here underneath the negative 6x so that I can combine them. X times 2x is positive 2x squared. So again, I'm going to put that under the like term. And I should have put a positive here since it's positive 4x. And then x times negative x squared is negative x cubed. Now, that's the highest power polynomial, that's the highest power term, sorry. So that one goes all the way on this side. Okay, now I'm going to put a bar underneath, and I'm going to add these together. So, negative 12 gets brought down. Negative 6x and positive 4x is negative 2x. Positive 3x squared and positive 2x squared is positive 5x squared. Make sure I put the positive in front. And then negative x cubed has nothing to be combined with, so that guy just gets put there. Okay, here we go. Notice we got the same exact answer as we got for the last example. Okay? Because we are doing the same thing, we're multiplying, but we're just doing it in different methods. Okay, we're going to do a third method, which is the last method, the tabular table or area array. So again, I'm multiplying the same two polynomials, so I should get the same exact solution as the last two examples. So now when I set this guy up, it's a little bit different. So what we are going to do is we're going to basically create a table. And since this first expression has 3 terms, and this expression has 2 terms, our table needs to be 3 by 2. It doesn't matter if it's 3 rows and 2 columns, or 2 rows and 3 columns, really doesn't matter. So what I mean by that is it doesn't matter if I want to put the negative x squared, the positive 2x, and the positive 4 along the top, like I'm doing here, and then the positive x and the negative 3 along the side. Or if I wanted to reverse it and I wanted to put the negative x squared, 2x, and 4 along the side, and then the x and the negative 3 along the top. It really doesn't matter. What I'm creating now is a table. Now my table should be 3 by 2 like we said. So each one of these kind of gets its own column and then its own row. Okay? So I want you to think of it this way. This x goes with this row. This negative 3 goes with this row. This negative x squared goes with this column. This 2x goes with this column, and this 4 goes with this column. So let's try to think of it that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to multiply what's along the side, the left side here, and what's along the top. So for example, I'm going to start by multiplying x and negative x squared. Since I'm multiplying those two things, the box where they meet is going to be this box right here. So in that box, I'm going to write negative x cubed because that's what I get when I multiply them. Now I'm going to multiply the negative 3 and the negative x squared. And those two numbers or expressions meet in this box. So when I multiply them, I get positive 3x squared. Now I'm going to multiply the positive x and the positive 2x. When I multiply them, I get positive 2x squared. Now I'm going to multiply the positive x and the positive 4. When I multiply them, I get positive 4x. Hopefully you're with me still. If you are not, then you should pause the video. Now I'm going to finish up with the negative 3. So I'm going to multiply the negative 3 and the 2x, and I get negative 6x. I'm going to multiply the negative 3 and the positive 4, and I get negative 12. Okay, so I'm almost done. Hopefully you found that rather simple. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for any like terms in this table. I see that the positive 3x squared and the positive 2x squared are like terms. I also see that the negative 6x and the positive 4x are like terms. So that means those are going to be combined. And now I'm going to write out my polynomial. So the negative x cubed stays by itself. The positive 3x squared and the positive 2x squared gets combined to positive 5x squared. The negative 6x and the positive 4x gets combined to negative 2x. And then the negative 12 gets added on at the end. Here's my polynomial, same expression as the last two examples. So let's think for a second about what some common mistakes are that people make. Perhaps a common mistake people make might be not knowing where to put the expression when you multiply two boxes. So for example, when you multiply the negative 3 and you multiply the positive 2x, where do you put that box? Well, you're just going to look where they both meet up. So the negative 3, the positive 2x meet up right here in this box. So that's definitely something that could cause problems or cause mistakes to be made. I would say another thing that causes mistakes would be not putting the sign with the number. So for example, since we had this original expression, since the negative was in front of the x squared, notice I kept that with the x squared. Since the 4, the positive was in front of the 4, notice I kept that with the 4. Even if it's a positive, you should still write the sign in front when you use this tabular method, or else, again, you could make little mistakes. Okay guys, if you have any questions about this, any confusion, you should write it in the reflection section of your notes on this. And that's it for now.